So welcome to Build with Drew, and I am Drew. So in today's video, we'll be starting a new series, and today will be the first video on Backend Foundation series with Drew. So just as the title says now, how the internet actually works. So that sounds basic, right? But I promise you that by the end of this video, you are going to understand what most developers or most builders out there don't know when they have been coding for years, and even those that are coding for years still find it hard to explain what we are going to go through today. So let me ask you something now. When you open your browser and type google.com and you hit enter, do you actually know what happens? So what actually happened behind the scene is that in the next 200 milliseconds, before even the blink of an eye now, there's a massive chain of events that happen across thousands of computers on different continents. Your data actually travel through a fiber optic cable under the ocean, bounces through the server that you will never see in that sense, and land back on your screen with your fully loaded page when you type google.com and hit enter. And all these happen very fast or behind the scene. In the next 200 milliseconds, you hit enter on that browser. And here is why it matters for backend developers. Every single concept you are going to learn in this series, from routing to APIs to authentication to caching to databases, all of it built on top this chain of events, whereby you enter your request, it's travel through the fiber optic to find the right server and give back your page in the format that you are meant to get it. So if you don't understand what is happening here, you will just be copying code without knowing why it works. At the moment your code strongly break in production, which it will most likely happen, you will have no idea where to look in that sense. But when you have an understanding of this, you can optimize for speed, reduce latency, and it just help you to be more grounded in development as a backend developer in that sense. So here is what we are covering today. So we are going to be looking at the client-server architecture. That's the core of everything development is built on. So I'm going to look at the DNS resolution. That's the phone book of the internet itself. So it's just like how your name like google.com becomes an IP address. They are going to be looking at the TCP/IP protocol, which is just how your data travel reliably across the internet. They are going to be looking at the HTTP request response. This is the language of the web, which I know that you should be familiar with. And lastly, we're looking at the dev tools. And these dev tools now, you're going to watch what happened live, how the request is being sent to domain like github.com or google.com in that sense. So let's just start this all now. So talking about the client server, everything on the internet is built on this fundamental model called client server. So the client is whoever is making the request. That could be your browser, your mobile app, or the command line like call. So that is the client. So the client is whoever is making the request. The server is whoever is waiting to respond to that request. So that's something like Django, Fast API, Node.js, or Nginx. Whatever your backend is running on, that's the server. So when the client says, I want something, the server says, here it is. That's exactly the relationship between the client and the server. So look at the diagram right here now. So the client is sending a request, and it could be something like just get home right here now. It's sending a request to the server. This server could be a Django, Fast API, Node.js, or Nginx. Is actually waiting for this request in order to give it back the right response. Right. So you travel across the internet, the server receive it, process it, and send back a response. So here now we have a status code of 200, which we are going to look deeper into as we go along in this course. And we have the text/content type, the content type, which is text/HTML in that sense. So that's how the whole internet works. Everything you see else is built on top of this. So here's a key insight I want you to hold on to in mind now. Every API you will build as a developer is just a server sitting there waiting for a request, for a client request. That's your job as a backend developer. You build server side of this conversation. So here now is a conversation that happened between the client and the server. So your job as a backend developer is to build the server side of this conversation, and that's what you are going to be doing. So when people just ask you, what do you do as a backend developer? Your honest answer should be like, okay, I build system that receive requests and send back the right response. So as a backend developer, that is what you do. You build systems, and this system receive requests and process this request and send back the right response. That's what you do.